Awaken your spirit, chosen one. You were never meant to blend in with the crowd. You weren't sent here to follow the scripts of ordinary people. You carry a blueprint that was drawn by the divine before time itself took its first breath. And now the very ones who tried to hex your rise are trembling, because what was written for you is beyond their reach, beyond their rituals, beyond the chains of this world. They've tried everything. Spells whispered at midnight, manipulation in the daylight, alliances forged in shadows. But here's the twist, they're still losing. Not because they didn't plan well, but because you were never theirs to stop. You are heaven's sealed letter. You were sent with a mission, and that mission carries protection they can't decode. They've gathered in secret, hoping to bend the path beneath your feet. But your steps aren't self-directed, they're divinely ordered. Every delay was an alignment, every detour was a disguise, every rejection was redirection, and they can't stand it. The Dark Coven is pissed to the highest degree because they now realize they were never in control. They only had the illusion of influence, while the author of all things was writing plot twists they didn't see coming. You've heard the whispers, the betrayals, the strange resistance, the sudden silence from people who once celebrated you. That wasn't coincidence, that was orchestration. Forces have tried to mute your momentum, water down your fire, or drain your confidence with doubt. But what they didn't know is you were being refined. Like steel forged in divine fire, you were getting sharper with every test, more focused with every setback, and now the flame they hoped would destroy you has only made you burn brighter. If the world truly understood the depth of the war waged against your calling, they would fall silent. They'd realize this wasn't just about you. It was about the generations your voice will wake up, the chains your presence will break, the systems your obedience will dismantle. That's why they tried to bury you before you bloomed. That's why your life has felt like a chessboard with unseen hands moving pieces around you. But the king is always the last to move. And that move, it's already underway. Understand this. If what's written for you wasn't sealed in the spirit, they would have altered it long ago. They would have rewritten your story with confusion, polluted your promise with despair, and renamed your destiny with fear. But the scroll they're trying to touch is kept in a place they cannot access. You are covered in a way they cannot decode, guarded in a way they cannot penetrate, and that frustrates them to no end. This is why isolation found you. This is why people misunderstood you, feared you, mocked you. Because even without trying, your existence disrupts their control. Your very breath carries a vibration that undoes deception. You walk into rooms and their masks slip. Not because you expose them with words, but because your light reveals their shadows. That kind of power can't be learned. It can't be bought. It's inherited. And you, chosen one, are walking proof that the inheritance has reached its rightful heir. So yes, they're angry. And they should be. Because it's too late to stop what has already been written. Heaven doesn't revise under pressure. The divine doesn't edit promises to appease enemies. The contract over your life was signed with purpose and sealed with fire. It's unbreakable. And now that you're awakening to this truth, everything changes. So if you feel this in your soul, if you know this message was etched for you, like this video, subscribe, and comment below. It's already written. Step deeper into this journey, because your destiny doesn't begin, it continues, and nothing can stop it. Chosen one, you were never meant to be quiet in this world. You were born to echo eternity. You weren't designed to fit into the patterns around you. You were created to interrupt them. That stirring inside of you, that tension you've been carrying for years, it's not confusion, it's confirmation. It's the fire of divine purpose trying to burst through a world that wanted you dim, voiceless, and manageable. But you were never meant to be manageable. You are the prophecy the darkness hoped would stay asleep. They've felt your energy long before you discovered your name. That's why you've always been met with resistance. Before you understood what was written for you, hell already read the blueprint. The dark forces couldn't see the full picture, but they saw enough to know you're dangerous. Not because of a title, not because of status, but because of what you carry inside of you, because of who you are when no one's watching, because of how you pray when the world goes quiet. That kind of power can't be replicated, it can't be imitated, and it most definitely can't be stopped. You are the one they tried to silence before your voice found its rhythm. They tried to cloud your mind with doubt before your thoughts turned to truth. They tried to exhaust you with chaos before your spirit found stillness. But here you are, still breathing, still rising, still chosen. They threw you into fire expecting ashes, and instead you came out refined, sharper, clearer, more aware of your divine assignment. You see, what's written for you isn't ink on paper, it's carved into eternity, it's sealed in realms where no hand can reach. Heaven's decree over your life was not open to discussion, it was declared, final, unshakable. And every attack you've endured, every betrayal, every loss, every storm, it wasn't proof of your weakness. It was evidence of your calling. It was a reaction to your spiritual signature. Your name rings out in the spirit realm, not because of who you pretend to be, but because of who you truly are underneath it all. You've walked through seasons that would have buried others, not because you're lucky, but because you're covered. You are the fulfillment of a divine promise. And even when you didn't know who you were, heaven did. Even when you questioned your worth, your purpose, your place in the world, heaven never wavered. You were always known, always seen, always protected. That's why the dark coven is furious. That's why they're shaking behind closed doors, lighting candles that won't work, chanting words that hold no weight. Because the more they try to curse you, the more blessed you become. The more they try to confuse your path, the more God illuminates it. They are watching their efforts collapse under the weight of divine will, and they can't understand it because they forgot one thing. You are not standing in your own power. You are backed by something eternal, something ancient, something holy. There is a divine contract written over your life that no spell can reverse. And while they gather in secrecy, trying to rewrite your ending, heaven already wrote your beginning. The chapters of your story were composed in a place they can't access. They've been trying to rearrange what's already been sealed. It's laughable. They're attacking what they cannot comprehend and resisting what they can never cancel. But don't you dare shrink, chosen one. Don't you dare question yourself now. You've survived too much to retreat. You've carried too many burdens to let fear dictate your next step. You've been appointed, and with that appointment comes protection. With that purpose comes power. With that calling comes confrontation, but not defeat. Understand this deeply. The rage you see from your enemies is a mirror of their powerlessness. They're not angry at you because you're wrong. They're angry because you're right, because your existence dismantles their lies. Your light exposes their games. Your alignment terrifies them because it means they're out of time. Every attack they launch against you is really a confession. They're revealing just how real your presence is, just how divine your path is, just how unstoppable your destiny is. They're mad because it's you. Of all the people God could have chosen, He chose the one who would never sell out, the one who would stand firm even when no one clapped, the one who would tell the truth even when it cost them everything. That's you. You are the real threat, not because of what you've done, but because of what you've refused to become. You didn't bow to pressure. You didn't trade purpose for popularity. You didn't settle. And that makes you a rare breed in a world that rewards conformity. You were never random. You were chosen to carry something sacred. And yes, that weight is heavy. Yes, that mantle comes with misunderstanding, isolation, even slander. But don't misread the silence. Don't misread the attacks. You're not being punished. You're being positioned. You're not being overlooked. You're being preserved. What you carry is too valuable to be mishandled by the wrong hands. So when the voices of doubt rise, remember this: no enemy can cancel what God has confirmed. No lie can undo a promise that was spoken before time began. You are protected, not just for survival, but for purpose, for impact, for legacy. And that's why you've always felt different. Even as a child, you saw the world differently. You sensed things, knew things, felt things other people ignored. That wasn't a curse. That was your gift stretching inside you before you even knew how to use it. You weren't weird. You were wired differently, spiritually tuned to a frequency others couldn't hear. And now that you're awakening, now that your spirit has shaken off the dust of confusion and fear, the enemy knows it's over. The awakening of one chosen soul is enough to flip an entire bloodline. One awakened voice can shake generations free from bondage, and you, chosen one, are that voice. You are that turning point. You are that bridge between what was and what's about to be. The dark coven may be loud, but they're not loud enough to silence the decree of God. They may plot, but they can't prevail. They may scream, but you don't have to flinch, because stillness is your strength. Obedience is your weapon, and alignment is your armor. You are not late, you are not lost, you are not disqualified. You are right on time, walking a path that was laid for you before your first breath. So walk it boldly, speak with authority, move with clarity, and trust deeply. Trust that what's written for you cannot be undone. Let the darkness rage. Let them exhaust themselves, trying to decode what only God can unlock. You don't have to respond with fear, just keep walking, keep healing, keep rising. The ones who tried to stop you will be the same ones forced to witness your ascension. And when they ask how you did it, you won't even need to explain, because your presence will speak louder than words. Your peace will be louder than their chaos. Your glow will be louder than their shadows. And your silence, it will be deafening. Chosen one, it's your time. Heaven already announced it, hell already panicked, and earth is about to witness it. So rise. You were sealed from the very beginning, chosen one. Before your feet ever touched this earth, there were scrolls marked with your name. Contracts signed by divinity. Assignments whispered into your spirit that no earthly voice could drown out. And though the world has tried to convince you that you are lost, misplaced, or forgotten, the truth is, you were hidden, not lost. Hidden like treasure, not because you weren't ready, but because the world wasn't. You've felt it, haven't you? That gnawing pressure to explain yourself, to make others comfortable with your light, to downplay your depth so you don't seem too intense, too sensitive, too much. But you were never too much. You were exactly what this world needs, but doesn't yet know how to handle. The solitude you've walked through wasn't punishment. It was sacred. It was heaven's shelter. It was God placing you beneath his wing, not to isolate you, but to incubate you. Because what's growing inside you doesn't come from this world, and it cannot be exposed too soon. They tried to tell you that silence meant God forgot, that the stillness was a sign you had no future. But the most powerful weapons are forged in stillness. The deepest roots grow in the dark. The most radiant stars are only seen in the absence of light. And so, in the quiet, he was shaping you, strengthening you, sharpening you for an hour such as this. You didn't miss your moment. You are the moment. And the ones who overlooked you, they didn't see wrong, they just couldn't see deep enough. You are not for everyone, and that's the design. You were created to carry codes that can't be cracked by the common. Your energy disrupts what's counterfeit. Your presence convicts what's inauthentic. And the reason people have tried to clip your wings is because they sensed the sky was your territory. They knew you weren't made to crawl in circles. You were made to soar in dimensions they can't breathe in. They saw the blueprint. Even if they never acknowledged it, That's why the friendships fell apart. That's why the room went cold when you spoke. That's why the doors slammed in your face, even when you came with a pure heart. Because what you carry threatens the system. Not because it's harmful, but because it's holy. And anything holy will always be met with resistance in a world that's built on illusion. But resistance doesn't mean failure. It means pressure, and pressure births diamonds. It means spiritual friction, and friction awakens fire. There are things God locked inside of you that the enemy has spent decades trying to silence. But what God seals, no one can steal. And though they tried to rewrite your story, He never handed them the pen. You are still the one. You are still the chosen vessel. You are still the divine assignment wrapped in human skin. And even when you doubted, heaven never flinched. Even when you ran, heaven waited. Because your return was inevitable. You can't outrun what you are. You can't bury what's been resurrected. This is why you've always felt out of place. Why the crowd never felt safe. Why small talk made your skin crawl and surface-level living left you hollow. You were never meant to live on the surface. You were meant to dive deep, to pull truth from the marrow of life and to speak it with clarity that rattles foundations. You were called to see the unseen, hear what's unspoken, and know what others choose to ignore. That's not paranoia, that's discernment. That's not anxiety. That's your anointing being activated. And yes, it's made you the target of jealousy. It's made you the subject of gossip. Because when people don't understand your assignment, they will always assume it's a threat. But you were not sent here to explain. You were sent to execute. Not everyone will get it. Not everyone is supposed to. That's why the journey has felt so lonely. Because sacred things are never put on public display too early. They are revealed after the transformation is complete. You weren't overlooked. You were protected. Some of you have been grieving relationships that weren't meant to survive. Your elevation. Don't mourn the ones who couldn't stay. They weren't bad people. They were just placeholders, temporary characters in a divine screenplay where you are the main character and heaven is the author. Their exit created space for those who are aligned with your destiny, not your history. You're not who you used to be. You've been refined. And refined people require refined environments. That's why the storms came. That's why the betrayals felt so personal. Because you had to be cleansed of attachments that would have corrupted your next level. You had to be emptied so heaven could fill you with only what matches your assignment. God is not going to let you carry contamination into consecrated territory. And so now you stand on the edge of a divine unveiling. Your name is being whispered in rooms your feet haven't entered yet. Your voice is echoing in dimensions that try to suppress it. You are the one the enemy tried to take out because he saw your influence before you saw your own reflection. He knew your awakening would ripple across bloodlines. That you wouldn't just break curses, you'd reverse them. That you wouldn't just survive, you'd build from the ashes. This is why every attempt to destroy you failed, because every blow made you bolder. Every loss carved more space for light. Every delay was a layer of protection you didn't even know you needed. They thought they were burying you, but you were being planted. And now the bloom is inevitable. But don't be surprised if they come back now. Don't be shocked when those who doubted you try to reattach themselves to your glow. That's what happens when light starts to shine after long darkness. But be wise. This next chapter requires discernment. Not everyone who claps for you is clean. Not everyone who praises you has pure intentions. Keep your circle covered, keep your oil guarded, keep your peace sacred. You've earned it, and through it all, stay grounded, stay humble, stay in alignment. Because this glow, it's not cosmetic, it's spiritual. This victory, it's not loud, it's holy. You didn't climb your way here with ego. You were carried here by grace, and grace will keep you as long as you stay surrendered, chosen. One, don't dim now. Don't question now. The path is clearing, the doors are opening, the tables are turning. You don't need to strive and just stand. You don't need to convince, just be. The weight you've carried is transforming into wisdom. The pain you've endured is becoming power. And the silence you walked through is about to echo with the sound of fulfillment. This is what you were made for. This is what all the lonely nights, unanswered prayers, and quiet sacrifices were leading to. Your presence is a prophecy. Your walk is a weapon. And your authenticity is your anointing. You don't need to do more. You need to remember who you are. Because the moment you remember, the whole world begins to shift in your favor. Heaven recognizes you. Hell fears you. And earth is waiting for you to rise. So rise, chosen one. The truth is, they never feared your weakness. What terrified them was your awakening. The very moment your spirit remembered who you are, the atmosphere shifted. Darkness began to unravel. Silent battles started to collapse. And the ones who once tried to control you, they panicked, because your awakening meant they could no longer manipulate what you couldn't see. You are not just a person. You are a force, a divine disruption to generational curses, a breaker of cycles, a blueprint that doesn't follow the map this world has laid out. That's why you've always felt resistance. Because your very existence challenges everything that is counterfeit. Every space you enter feels your presence before you even speak. And that presence, that undeniable frequency of authenticity, it shakes things loose. People begin to fumble their masks when you walk in the room. Not because you're trying to expose them, but because truth doesn't have to shout. It simply reveals. You've made it through trials that were meant to silence you. You've been through emotional earthquakes designed to shake your foundation loose, but instead of crumbling, you settled deeper, stronger, rooted. Like an oak planted by living waters, your resilience has become your weapon. They don't understand how you keep rising. They don't know how you're still glowing after being thrown into the fire, but the secret is simple. You were refined in the furnace, not consumed by it. See, some of you were sent to be the first in your bloodline to rise, the first to see, to break free, to create what no one before you dared to build. You were born into a lineage where patterns repeated like broken records, but something inside you said, no more. You said no to generational pain, no to spiritual blindness, no to cycles of silence and shame. That no wasn't just your voice, it was your spirit taking back authority. And hell hasn't stopped shaking since. You were sent to disturb the peace of anything pretending to be light. You are the quiet storm they didn't see coming. A gentle soul with a roar in your bones. A lighthouse disguised as a wanderer. They underestimated you because you never boasted, never begged for attention, never broadcast your pain. But real power moves in silence. And real elevation doesn't need an announcement. It's felt. You're not arrogant for knowing your worth. You're not crazy for sensing what others ignore. You're not difficult for refusing to shrink. You were born with eyes that see beneath the surface, ears that catch divine whispers in the wind, and a heart that refuses to bow to illusion. That's what makes you dangerous to systems built on deceit. You are light in its purest form. The kind of light that doesn't entertain but transforms, and that's why they feared your awakening, because once you wake up, you can't be controlled. You start moving differently, speaking with authority, walking with conviction. You stop explaining yourself to people who were never meant to understand you. You stop fighting battles that were designed to distract, not develop. You stop chasing approval and start choosing peace. That shift, that inner resurrection, it makes demons tremble, because now you've remembered. You've remembered that you're not the weapon, you're the war zone. Everything heaven stored inside of you is beginning to rise. And what's rising in you now? It can't be silenced. They couldn't figure you out, so they called you names, said you were too intense, too sensitive, too distant. But they didn't understand that you were protecting something sacred. You weren't ignoring them. You were guarding your anointing. You were discerning the spirits in the room. You were shielding the oil that cost you everything. That oil didn't come cheap. It came through nights of tears, through betrayal that left you gasping for air, through silence that felt like abandonment. But God was there. In every broken moment, He was pouring, filling, molding, until you became the vessel you are now. Unshakable, unbothered, and deeply rooted in who you are. They wanted you broken because it was easier to digest you that way. But healed you, awakened you, aligned you. That's a version of you they never prepared for. That's the version that's about to change everything. But here's the part they really didn't see coming. Your glow isn't just physical, it's spiritual. It's the kind of radiance that can't be dimmed because it's powered by purpose. You don't shine because of applause. You shine because the divine lives in you, because you carry heaven's frequency, because you are walking proof that darkness never had the final word. You've got people wondering how you're still standing. They can't understand how the one who was left behind, counted out, mocked, and misunderstood, somehow found the strength to rise with grace and truth still intact. It's because the battle was never about breaking your body. It was about breaking your belief, but they failed. Because deep down, you believed something greater was working. Even when you had nothing left, your soul whispered, "I'm still chosen." And that whisper was louder than all the noise. You're not just surviving, you're becoming. Every scar has shaped your authority. Every loss has made room for alignment. Every delay has refined your direction. And now your steps are guided by something higher. Not ego, not fear, not validation, but purpose. Divine purpose. And the most powerful part, you no longer need revenge. You're not trying to prove anything. You've learned that healing is louder than hate. That peace is louder than pettiness. That destiny doesn't need to compete, it simply unfolds. Your enemies will see it, your doubters will watch. But you'll keep walking, because this path was never about them. It's always been about the kingdom you carry. You are a living prophecy, a walking miracle, a testimony in motion. And the best part is, you're just getting started. Everything that tried to bury you will become the foundation you build on. Every person who rejected you will watch as God prepares a table with your name engraved in gold. Not out of vengeance, but as a declaration. This one, this chosen, one to never belong to darkness. This one was always mine. So don't shrink and don't second guess what you feel rising in your spirit right now. The call is real. The confirmation is here. The doors are opening not because you begged, but because you believed, because you dared to stay true, because you chose authenticity when it would have been easier to conform. And that's the secret. God doesn't elevate the perfect. He elevates the faithful, the ones who don't quit, the ones who wrestle through the night but still get up and declare, "I'm not letting go until I see the blessing." That's you. You are Jacob in the desert, David in the field, Esther in silence, Elijah in the cave. You are the ones who stayed hidden until heaven said, "Now." And now, the time has come. You don't have to scream to be seen. You don't have to fight to be valued. Just stand. Stand in your truth, stand in your light, stand in your authority, and watch as heaven confirms what you already knew. You were never forgotten. You were reserved. This is your moment. The veil has been lifted. The smoke is clearing, and your name is echoing in places your feet haven't yet touched. But you'll get there, not by force, by favor, not through striving, but through surrender. Because when God opens a door, it doesn't squeak, it swings wide, and what's behind it? Everything you were once told you'd never have. So lift your head, chosen one. Breathe deep. Let the oil run. Let your spirit stretch. Because you didn't just survive the warfare, you've been crowned because of it. The crown fits now. And the throne, it's been waiting. Chosen one, if you've ever wondered why the room grew quiet when you walked in, or why smiles turned sharp the moment you spoke truth, it's not your imagination. That silence was never random. That tension you felt in the presence of certain people, it's the sound of darkness getting nervous. You don't need to say much to stir the unseen. You don't even have to try. You carry the kind of light that forces shadows to either scatter or reveal themselves. And people don't always know how to act when the mask they wear begins to melt in your presence. You are not ordinary. You never were. And deep down, they knew that long before you did. That's why so many tried to dim your shine before you, realized you were glowing. That's why some people hated you before they even knew your name, because your soul spoke louder than your words. Your spirit walked in ahead of you, and what they felt wasn't arrogance. It was alignment. They felt the truth you carried, and it frightened the lies they built their identities on. You're not crazy for noticing the shifts. You're not paranoid for sensing the strange stares, the sudden distance, the fake support. That's discernment. That's your gift working even when you're not trying. People's actions are often silent confessions. When they can't celebrate you, it's because they feel convicted by your presence. When they gossip about you, it's because they fear what you might become. And when they avoid you, it's because they know they can't hide behind their image when truth is standing in the room. Your light is louder than their applause. Your growth is louder than their shade, and your healing is louder than their history with you. You don't need to explain your change to people who were invested in your past. You've outgrown the need to be understood by those who secretly hoped you'd stay broken. And their rage, that's their confession. That's proof that something powerful is shifting in your life. They're not mad because you failed. They're mad because you didn't. They're mad because after everything you endured, after every tear, every betrayal, every lonely night, you still stood, you still rose, and not just with a smile, but with wisdom, with peace, with a light. That's even stronger than before. And that infuriates people who tried to keep you in cycles they secretly couldn't escape themselves. You've become a mirror. A reflection of what they could have been had they chosen healing over ego, truth, over appearance, growth over comfort. And not everyone wants to look in that mirror. Some would rather smash it than face themselves. But your job isn't to dim for their comfort. Your job is to shine because you were born to be light in a world that's addicted to the dark. You don't need to defend yourself. Let your elevation be your explanation. Let your peace be your answer. Let your joy be the loudest sermon you'll ever preach. Because when you're walking in alignment, you don't need a podium. Your life is the pulpit. Your transformation is the message. And your presence is the proof. Let them talk. Let them whisper. Let them speculate. Because the truth is, you've been chosen for something their words can't reach. Their opinions don't shape your outcome. Their access to you is not permission to mislabel you. And when you decided to heal, to grow, to evolve, that was your quiet rebellion. That was your declaration that the generational cycles stopped with you. You were never meant to beg for acceptance. You were meant to become the standard. You were called to walk through fire so that others could find the path through your ashes. You are the blueprint. And blueprints don't compete, they build. You're not in competition with anyone. You're in alignment with your calling. And that alone will cause resistance from those who are still trying to find theirs. But don't let the noise distract you. Because while they're watching, heaven is moving. While they're scheming, God is writing. And while they're hoping for your fall, He's preparing your rise. Your name is being whispered in spaces you haven't entered yet. Your steps are ordered in ways you can't even see, and your reward isn't coming, it's already in motion. This is why you couldn't settle. This is why every shortcut made you uneasy, because something in you refused to trade your soul for comfort. Something in you said, I'd rather be misunderstood in truth than praised in pretense. That's your spirit remembering its assignment. That's your soul aligning with the higher call. Don't forget how far you've come. Don't forget the nights you thought you wouldn't make it, but somehow grace carried you. Don't forget the moments when you were surrounded by chaos, but peace found you anyway. That wasn't chance. That was divine orchestration. That was your covering doing what it always does, protecting you, even from what you couldn't see. And now the shift is irreversible. You've crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. You've awakened a version of yourself that will never sleep again. And the enemy knows it. That's why the attacks have become more subtle, more strategic. But what they forget is, you've learned how to fight without raising your voice. You've learned how to stand without losing your softness. You've learned that real power isn't loud. It's rooted. You're no longer who you were. You've grown, you've grieved, you've healed, and in that healing you've become untouchable, not because you're perfect, but because you're present. Present in your purpose, present in your truth, present in the divine flow of what was always meant to be yours. No curse can cancel what's already been confirmed. No betrayal can break what's already been built on solid ground. And no opinion can override a calling that was signed in heaven. So rise, chosen one, not with arrogance, but with assurance, not with fear, but with fire, because the tables have turned. The energy has shifted, and what's ahead of you is so much greater than what's behind. Let them watch, let them wonder, let them gossip, and while they do, keep becoming, keep building, keep blessing. Because you are not here to fit in. You're here to lead, to show others that it's possible, to walk through hell and still come out holy, to prove that divine favor doesn't always make sense, but it always manifests. Your walk is sacred. Your tears were never wasted. Your name is carved into a story that no hand can erase. And the pain you endured is now the oil that flows from you when you speak, when you love, when you lead. You are not the victim. You are the vessel. And vessels don't complain about the weight. They pour. You pour wisdom, you pour light, you pour healing into spaces that didn't even know they were thirsty. Chosen one, the shift has already begun. Don't look back. Don't explain. Just walk. Walk with the quiet confidence of someone who knows the throne wasn't given, it was assigned. And now that you've stepped into your authority, there's no going back. Heaven is backing you. Hell is beneath you. And earth is watching you, so keep going. You are the promise. You are the proof. You are the prophecy fulfilled. Chosen one, let this truth settle deep into the marrow of your soul. You are no accident. You are not a byproduct of pain or coincidence or random circumstances. You are divine strategy wrapped in skin. You are prophecy in motion. You are a soul chosen not because you were the loudest, not because you were the most seen, but because your spirit was aligned with something far greater than this world could ever offer. The journey has not been easy. You've walked through invisible wars. You've battled silently while wearing a brave face. You've learned how to smile with wounds still bleeding underneath. And yet, you've never surrendered your heart to darkness. You may have bent, but you never broke. You may have felt forgotten, but you were never forsaken. Heaven watched it all. Every silent scream, every tear that no one saw, every time you stayed when you wanted to run, every time you rose when you had no strength left, heaven recorded it. And now the reward is near. Not because you chased it, but because you became it. You see, your strength was never in how well you hid the pain. Your strength was in how you transformed through it, how you stayed soft in a world that tried to make you hard, how you stayed honest in a realm full of illusions, how you never gave up on truth, even when deception looked easier. That's not weakness. That's divine power. There's something incredibly holy about someone who knows they're chosen, but doesn't need the crowd to confirm it. Someone who's okay being misunderstood because they're grounded in purpose. Someone who can walk alone and not feel empty. That's you. You carry that sacred resilience. You've become the proof that favor doesn't always shout. Sometimes it moves quietly, powerfully, purposefully, without needing to be seen, because it knows it's already recognized in heaven. It's time to trust what's inside of you, to stop shrinking for people who can't hold your truth, to stop dimming for rooms that were never meant to contain your light. You weren't made to blend, and you were made to stand apart, not as a display of ego, but as a beacon of divine clarity in a world clouded by confusion. Your presence is not just noticed, it's felt. That's why people stare. That's why doors open. That's why warfare increases when you speak, because you've stepped into alignment. And when a chosen one aligns, all of creation adjusts. Around them, the winds shift, the atmosphere trembles, angels take position, and every delay that tried to block you begins to dissolve in the presence of your yes. And now it's your time to walk boldly. No more second-guessing your steps, no more explaining your obedience, no more watering yourself down to fit into glasses that were never built to carry your depth. What's inside of you is too sacred to be compromised by convenience. It's too rare to be handed to the careless. It's too powerful to be hidden any longer. You don't need permission to be who you are. You don't need validation to walk in your truth. The calling on your life was written long before the opinions ever formed. What's for you was carved in the halls of eternity, and no lie, no rejection, no betrayal can erase what God wrote. With His own hand, you are not running out of time. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. Every closed door was protection. Every loss was realignment. Every ending was a beginning in disguise. The pressure wasn't to crush you, it was to crown you. The fire wasn't punishment, it was purification. What looked like delay was just divine timing doing its perfect work. You were hidden because you are holy. You were held back because what's inside of you couldn't be exposed to the wrong eyes. And now, the world will see not just the glow, but the glory. The oil on your life is undeniable. The wisdom in your spirit is hard-earned. The peace you carry is hard-won. And that peace, it's not just yours. It's a sanctuary for others who are still wandering. That's your purpose. To be a living sanctuary, a place where the broken can breathe, where the confused can find clarity, where the lost can recognize their reflection in your rise. You weren't just chosen to escape. You were chosen to lead, to build, to shine so others remember they're made of the same light. Your life is not random, it's revelation. Every piece of your story is prophetic. Every scar is sacred. Every step you take now resounds in the spirit like a drumbeat announcing destiny. And the ones who counted you out, they were just spectators to a story too deep for their understanding. So walk tall, chosen one. Carry your head like a crown. Move with grace, speak with power, love with purity, forgive quickly, heal intentionally, shine unashamed. You don't need to prove who you are proof. Proof that favor finds the faithful, that resilience births royalty, that hidden vessels carry the heaviest oil, that obedience is more powerful than ambition. The kingdom needs your voice, not the filtered one, not the edited one, but the raw, real, radically authentic version of you that heaven called before you even had language for your calling. You were formed in sacredness, covered in secrecy, and are now being revealed in strength. And every delay, every tear, every unanswered question, it all makes sense now, doesn't it? You are being prepared for the unveiling. The tables are prepared, the seats are set, the light is ready, and your name? It's echoing through dimensions. Chosen one, it's time. Step forward, speak truth, shine unapologetically, move like you've already won, because you have.